We are good there. Excellent. We should have no issues tonight whatsoever. Let's make sure this gets up to speed. And it looks like it is. Fantastic. Let me, hey, Greg from Gold Coast, you are so fast every single night, my man. So fast. I love it. Hello, Angela from Hugo, Minnesota. Awake in Kentucky, Cam, welcome. Hello, Aaron in Jersey and Rhonda in Kentucky. Norma in DC, the nation's capital. I love it. Beautiful. Hello, Michelle. How are you? Hello there. Monroe, I saw. Michigan, Michelle. Welcome, Janine. Yes, Noble Patriots, welcome. We are rocking and rolling. Dr. Michael Price in Omaha, Nebraska. I have some more health and well-being information tonight. As soon as I went live, my lighting, which I had fixed, decided to wash me out. So it changed when I went live. Go figure. I'll figure it all out. New setup, working on the lighting. Excellent. Sheila from California. Welcome. Dawn from Indiana. Hello there. Chris, oh, thank you. Best podcast. I appreciate that. Utah, Douglas checking in. Love it. Deborah, Georgia, a state away. Let's see. Any news on Jason Q? Yeah, I'll update you on Jason Q. A devoted chiropractic assistant from Colorado, Brenda. Thank you for all that you do. Yes, yes. Chiropractors change the world, but guess what? Every single one of our staff members and assistants also change the world. So thank you for all of you out there. Sandra from Temple, Pennsylvania. Cape Cod, Jane, welcome. Dr. Stacy Bloom in Indianapolis. Welcome, welcome, Noble Patriots. I love you all. Let's bring it. Let's see. Vanessa, thank you. Look forward to the podcast every day. I appreciate that. Sherry from Phoenix, diverticulitis help. Sherry from Phoenix, if you need diverticulitis help, go to noblepatriothealth.com and I will help you with that. Yes, diverticulitis, not that hard to deal with, honestly. In my experience with the cases that I've had, I actually just finished up a case handling some diverticulitis, Crohn's, all that interesting stuff, okay? Tina Hudson, Waterboro, South Carolina. Hello. What's going on? Chiropractor in Maryland. We'll work on that for you, Norma. What's up, Doris in Dorian, Louisiana? My grandmother, who's since passed, her name was Doris, so I have a special place in my heart for the name Doris. Let's see. Yes, Jason Q is suspended on Twitter, but he's on Facebook as well. He is communicating with me behind the scenes. Lorraine, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hashimoto's for my wife. Michael, absolutely got that covered. Let us know. We handle Hashimoto's and thyroid cases all day long. Jen from Central Indiana, welcome to the show. I appreciate that. Pam from Charlotte, North Carolina. Every time I think of Charlotte, North Carolina, I think of the nature boy, Ric Flair. I'm not going to do the woo now because they're trying to go to sleep in the other room, but I can do some nature boy. What's going on? Lisa, Kansas City, welcome. Hello, Courtney. Caesar, New Jersey. Excellent. Tampa Bay, Johnny in the house. Perth, Louise. Rochester, New York. Meg, my in-laws are from Rochester, New York, originally. Jason Upton, Oklahoma in the house. I thought you were in San Francisco, dude. Anyway, I know you're a Giants fan. My video is solid tonight. If you guys are freezing, it's on social media's end. I am also working on that because I will tell you guys, as I dive in, let me give you a very big heads up. I am not leaving social media until they throw me off, but I am going to tell you right now, there's going to be a day, probably once we get into October, maybe November, they're going to shut down stuff. And I will probably go over, actually what I have is I'm working behind the scenes with good buddy Gil. If he's out there, give Gil a round of applause because he is my technical know-how. And he has a production truck in his house, and we'll probably be running through that because we will probably be going to the website directly. I just want you to know Facebook is already making rules. Twitter is making rules where they're probably going to shut things down, anything political, come October and November. So if you want to follow this podcast, nothing will change. And I'll be honest with you, I may decide to stream, I don't know if it'll be all day, but quite a bit on election day. I have not dropped that information to my wife yet, but I might be home on election day, and definitely election night. Election night, I will probably not be going for an hour. I will probably be going for the most of the night because it just needs to be. So, but the whole point and the reason I'm telling you this is I'm probably going to end up having to go off the channels and on just to the network. So the network site is being built. Hang with me on that. Get on the email list as fast as humanly possible because we will probably end up pushing the stream out through email and text to let you know it's on, just like Highwire does, and sending you to the site because this is the world we're walking into where social media is not going to allow us to have any of these discussions. And this is going to go on. Don't worry. It will go on. So just be prepared because I need you all to know that if you want to be part. The other natural health practitioners out there, the other big names have all done the same thing. I'm just holding off as long as I can to go fully to that way. But if that's what you want to do, because I'm going to tell you right now, in the next month or so, you may not even be on social media. You may not even be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, because their intention is to pull this down to allow the Democrats to try to win the election in any way possible that they can. We're going to go into a bunch of that tonight, but I'm just letting you know the update. Dr. Jason Dean, Revolution Network, your source for health, freedom, and knowledge. Let's drop some knowledge bombs. First of all, a very, very kind thank you. I had a shirt the other day from Mr. Ken Lang. Tonight, I have a shirt from Wendy Jones Schwartz. Thank you, Wendy. This is a fantastic shirt. I love it. Beautiful. It's tremendous. So thank you so much. You're amazing. Now, we're going to go through some interesting stuff tonight. I have some fun stuff. I have some serious stuff. I have some predictions for you. And then tonight, stay on, because at the end of tonight, we will be continuing a little bit of our discussion from last night's end of the show. If you did not see last night's end of the show, please go back and at least watch that, because then tonight we're going to continue on. I'm going to connect more of the puzzle pieces to what they're trying to do to shut you off from connecting straight to God, to source, to universe, to Christ consciousness, to consciousness in general. Because guess what? There is a diabolical plan to do it. And tonight I will take you to the next health part that is their way of shutting you off from creation. That simple. Now, let me take you through some fun stuff. So here's a fun video, and then I'm going to show you a serious video. Now, try to hold yourself in for this one, because this one is tremendous. Here we go.
The day that we lost Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
But to be clear, you're not taking any arrows out of your quiver. You're not ruling anything out.
Good morning. Sunday morning.
Oh, Nancy. That woman, whoever it is, does an absolutely tremendous job at doing a Nancy Pelosi, just for the record. She did one other one that I didn't show, but she is so hold on. Let me go back to this. I want to show you. I gotta show you at least her. Let me show you this to where, like, she hold on. I'm sorry. I think it's funny, but you have to see this because it is a tremendous. I want to show you. Look at those eyebrows. that she drew on her, and the lips and the hair all over the place. She has a bottle of prescription medication stuck in her scarf. Ah, that's tremendous. I just want to let you see that because it doesn't get much better than that kind of humor. Anyway, I thought I'd start off with that, which is fantastic. Okay, now on to something that I find amazingly courageous. This gentleman, who you're all gonna know as soon as you see him, is probably one of the more caring people on the face of the planet, and I want you to hear what he says. Here we go.
It is fun to be able to have some jokes about football, but then we get together for something so much important. And that's why I'm grateful to be here. That's why I'm grateful for all of you that are here and all of the work that you have done. I truly am so grateful because for me and my wife, this isn't an 8 to 5, a 9 to 5. This is a calling. It's a calling because we believe it's the greatest form of evil in the world today, because there are 40 million people around the world that need us. They need us to say, no longer is it about the credit, it's about the mission. No longer is it about, well, we're not going to work from Florida to Georgia or from right to left. We're going to all rally together to be able to push back this darkness and push back this evil. And you probably hear from my tone that I'm pretty passionate about it, because eventually we have to say, not on our watch, not anymore. And so our goal in this is really three forms. Is proactive. We got to support the families before they get in a desperate situation where they do something that eventually they're going to regret. Number two is that we got to be part of the rescue. When kids are sold, girls, but sometimes boys as well, we got to be part of that rescue mission. You know, that's one of our non-negotiables, is we're on a rescue mission. You see, when you say rescue mission, it puts a timeline on it. It's not a nonprofit. It's not an organization. Oh, it's a rescue mission, because that puts a sense of urgency. And we have to live with a sense of urgency to be able to rescue as many lives as possible. That's why we're here today. It's not because we wanted to hang out, because we want to work with as many people as possible to say, no longer on our watch is this going to take place. You know what? We might not be able to end it today, but I do believe we can make a really big dent. And then third, it's long-term relationships, because like you talked about, it does take holistic healing. It takes holistic love, and it also takes sharing with someone that they might have been a slave physically, but they've also so many times become a slave inside, because it's not just, slavery is not just on the outside, it's on the inside as well. And so it takes a long time to be able to love and holistically care for so many of these girls and so many of these survivors that have been trafficked. And so it's going to take all of us and more coming to this table to say that we have to be able to work together. Because I think one of the saddest things for me is so many times these survivors have forgotten their. It is fun to be able to have some football, but get together for something so much more important. And that's why I'm.
So I love Tim Tebow, by the way. Always have. And I will tell you, you know what's fascinating about that is, so I'm a little bit connected to the University of Florida because my wife is a Gator. She is a proud Gator graduate, and she actually worked with the 96 football team, Danny Werfel, national champions. And so giant Tim Tebow fan. Giant Tim Tebow fan. Like I will tell you, like Tim Tebow on OAN, Tim Tebow working with Ivanka Trump, and Attorney General Barr, makes me feel better. Makes me feel really damn good about what is going on in this nation right now. The fact that he is involved, because I will tell you, I have never met Tim Tebow. However, I will say this. You can tell from a distance, there is not a bad bone in that man's body. Like, he literally is put here to serve. And what's funny was, I was actually very agitated the fact that he was thrown out of the NFL. The reason why is because I used to work within the NFL, and the NFL is literally about showboating, and there's a lot of partying that goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot of drugs, there's a lot of alcohol, etc. Welcome to the sports scene. And I was so upset when he was booted out because he wanted to be himself. He wanted to kneel in prayer, and the NFL didn't like it because they do not align with those values. They do not align with his Christian background. They don't align with spiritual values to begin with. That's why you can tell the NFL to go to hell, because that's really where they're going. Tim Tebow is amazing. And it's interesting because he never pushed back on the not being accepted in the NFL. Even when every single Tim Tebow fan out there wanted the NFL to take him, he didn't push back. You know what he did? He went to play baseball. Was he perfect? No, he wasn't perfect at baseball. But guess what? He didn't cry. He didn't complain. He did the best he could. It wasn't his sport necessarily. And he literally just stayed on mission. You know what? I'm glad that he did not make it in the NFL, or I'm glad they kicked him out, essentially. I'm glad that he did not survive the baseball world, because I'm sure he made some money, and he's probably smart with his money. He's married now, and he's dedicating his life now to solving and handling human trafficking with Ivanka Trump and Attorney General Barr. Like, come on, man. You want to be on purpose? There's purpose for you. Like, I don't know. I feel really good that Tim Tebow is on the scene. He's such a purist at heart, and I don't think there's anybody out there that can argue that Tim Tebow is a good dude. And you have a problem with Tim Tebow, you might, again, want to look in the mirror, okay? Very interesting. Now, staying on the Florida scene, this popped up today. Now, I showed one of the videos on my Facebook site, my Facebook timeline, but I did not show all of them. Guess what? Don't bring your liberal values to the state of Florida. Yeah, we have some liberal areas, but the majority is a conservative, red state. Now, what happens if you bring those liberal, radical, rioting BLM values to Florida? Guess what? It gets shut down. Here are several videos from today's Governor Ron DeSantis, and then the sheriffs in town. I'm going to show you that video as well. But here is the first one from our governor.
If you are involved in a violent or disorderly assembly and you harm somebody, if you throw a brick and hit a police officer, you're going to jail. And there's going to be a mandatory minimum jail sentence of at least 6 months for anyone who strikes a police officer, either with a weapon or a projectile. And we're also not going to simply let people back out onto the street. So if you are in custody for one of these offenses relating to a violent or disorderly assembly, you're not getting bail before your first appearance, and then there's a rebuttable presumption against bail after that. We also have offense enhancements, and so if you do throw an object during a violent or disorderly assembly, that will be an enhanced penalty, as well as assault or battery of a law enforcement officer during one of these violent or disorderly assemblies. And if you are from another state and you come to participate in one of these violent or disorderly assemblies, you're going to have extra penalties imposed on you as well.
So there's one. I'm going to take you through these in order because they're so tremendous, because you didn't see all of them. So let me take you through all of these because they are pretty fantastic.
Use RICO liability to anyone who organizes or funds a violent or disorderly assembly. And if you look at some of the people who've been involved in this violence, these are people that will come from all across the country. If there's any type of issue, they all of a sudden show up in all these places. We're going to figure out who's organizing and who's funding that and hold them accountable. But what you have to have is clear and predictable penalties. I look at what goes on in Portland, and they'll have people, they'll arrest them. These are all scraggly looking, Antifa types. They get their mugshot taken, and then they get released. And it's like a carousel. On and on it goes.
He was on a roll today. I'm showing you all of them.
We are going to impose criminal penalties for violent or disorderly assemblies, and that'll be a third-degree felony. We will also require a felony if you incapacitate any of the roadways. We see people take over interstates. That is absolutely hazardous. It's not fair to motorists who may get caught up in that, and so that will be unacceptable. Also, we have a prohibition on destroying or toppling any type of public property, including monuments. That's not the way to go about it, and we will hold you accountable. Also have a prohibition on harassing innocent people in public accommodations. You see these videos of these innocent people eating dinner, and you have these crazed lunatics just screaming at them and intimidating them on a public accommodation. You're not going to do that here in the state of Florida.
Oh my gosh, he's so fantastic. Here's another one of Mr. DeSantis.
Localities to defund the police. If you defund the police, then the state is going to defund any grant or aids coming to you. And that applies to any municipality or local government throughout the state of Florida. We also understand that victims need to be compensated. And so if you have a situation where a local government is grossly negligent, where they abdicate their responsibility to protect people and property, like we saw in some of these cities throughout the United States, we will waive sovereign immunity and let you get compensated by suing those local governments. You also will not be eligible for state benefits or employment if you get convicted of participating in a violent or disorderly assembly, and we believe that that's something that makes sense from a taxpayer perspective.
Now, my absolute favorite one is Sheriff Grady Judd.
So that there's no misunderstanding today. This is a peaceful protest. This is a riot. We can tell the difference. The governor can tell the difference. Our law enforcement officers can tell the difference. In the event you didn't get that, let me show you something. This is a peaceful protest. This is looting. If you loot, the next thing you can try to steal is something off of your food tray at the county jail, because you're going to jail. That's a guarantee. And we're going to enjoy taking you down there.
DeSantis in the background trying not to laugh.
Some people are slow learners. This is peaceful protest. This is violence. It's not acceptable. I truly believe in our God-given right and our constitutional right to speak openly and freely, to address our government. That's important. We listen every day. But I've also watched across this country when law enforcement officers who put their life on the line were told to stand down.
So, that is Sheriff Grady Judd, who is not playing around. Now, I will tell you, he is in Polk County, which does not obviously cover everywhere. But I will tell you, when Governor DeSantis is standing right behind him, and then Governor DeSantis comes up and says, this is how it's going to play out in Florida, what they're actually doing is, other than freaking like South Florida, Miami, which is just off the chart liberal, Orlando is a more liberal city, but they would fall to conservatives around them. And other than that, maybe a little bit in Jacksonville. The rest of the state is pure red. Florida is a red state. And when you have the governor backing you up, and then you have a sheriff willing to go out there and show you how it's done, that's how it's going to work in the state of Florida, which hopefully gives some incentive, motivation throughout the rest of the country to get on board and say, we're not putting up with this anymore. I actually predict Florida to be mostly very calm as this whole thing rolls out. I think you're going to have New York City, which is going to be a train wreck. I think you're going to have Chicago, which will be a train wreck. I think you have LA, which will be a train wreck. San Francisco, train wreck. You're probably going to have, let's see, Detroit, maybe a train wreck. You'll probably have places like Dallas that'll be kind of close. These hardcore liberal cities are going to fall during November, December. I almost get, and when I say fall, I mean fall. DC is going to fall. They are going to burn these cities down. I'm just telling you right now. I'm not trying to be explosive, fearful, anything. I'm just warning you. They are probably going to fall as this all goes down. And I'm going to go into this a little bit more towards the end of this and tell you what I think is actually going to happen as we ramp up, because it's being tweaked a little, but it's still pretty much, yes, Minneapolis as well, probably will fall, right? These are radically liberal run cities, and they are hiring people right now. They're hiring people to go in and stay in the hotels until it's time to riot. This has been documented at certain hotels in certain cities where there's actually thugs, BLM members, staying there. Their bills are being paid, and they're there waiting and ready to attack when told to do so. So keep an eye on that, because that stuff is going down. And I want to show you this one. This one will lead into it, because this is what people are being told that QAnon is.
It's called QAnon, a fringe conspiracy theory.
QAnon's grown so fast.
Supporters are linked to acts of violence.
Murder on Staten Island. The suspected killer.
Obsessed with the QAnon conspiracy theory. The FBI has ID'd QAnon as a domestic terror threat.
What's gone from an underground, almost cult-like group has now entered the mainstream of American politics.
Trump's retweeting QAnon dozens of times.
Trump retweeted a baseless conspiracy theory to nearly 63 million Twitter followers.
The president shared a conspiracy theory about Martin Gugino, the 75-year-old protester seen on video falling to the ground after being shoved by two officers. Trump tweeted Gugino could be an Antifa provocateur.
The president of the United States is refusing to disavow conspiracy theorists.
I understand they like me very much, and I've heard these are people that love our country.
The crux of the theory is this belief that you are secretly saving the world from this satanic cult of pedophiles and cannibals.
Is that supposed to be a bad thing? So I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to put myself out there.
It's almost too funny, because I actually appreciate the quality of the production value of that entire thing, because it's so over the top. It's unbelievable. Like, it's totally ridiculous. And the thing is, it's classic projection, right? So they have BLM sitting and waiting, ready to go in hotel rooms, and they're pushing this trash out there, saying that anyone that believes, and any sort of group, and I love the word cult. That's fantastic. You know what? Because a cult typically has an insane, over-the-top, radical personality who's leading it, who is just like off the rails, right? Kind of like BLM. That's actually what a cult is. So they're trying to call QAnon, who has no leader, and President Trump is not the leader of QAnon. He doesn't even say that he's involved with Q or know anything about it necessarily, other than he's heard of the QAnons, right? But he doesn't know much about them. There is no leader. There is no cult, because a cult forces you to believe something. They're actually, QAnon is making everyone think for themselves, and it says they're violent. I've never seen anybody in the QAnon world who is violent. I'm just making videos every single night to educate people. I go to work every day. I think most QAnons, as well as conservatives, don't really have time to be violent because they're productive at their job. They're helping people in their churches. They're entrepreneurs who are very busy, and they have families that they go home and take care of, and they cook meals and eat, and they live out life, right? So that's the ridiculousness of this entire situation, right? Now, going forward, I'm going to show you this video, and then I'm going to tell you what I think is actually getting ready to play out. There's actually two videos. I'm going to show you in successive order and then tell you what I think is going to play out. And then we're going to dive into some very, very interesting stuff tonight. So let me show you this one first because, oh, that's right. Everyone says that the Supreme Court open chair right now, the Democrats, of all people, think or say that it should be held open until the election is over because that's how it's supposed to work. Let's go with what they said last time. Let's watch this compilation of videos.
The American people deserve a fully staffed court of 9.
The president nominates, and then the Senate advises and consents or not, but they go forward with the process.
What we're seeing here, and I hope this is temporary, is a disrespect for the Constitution.
The Constitution is 100% clear. The President of the United States has the right to nominate someone to be a justice of the Supreme Court. Senate's function is to hold hearings and to vote.
The blockade on filling a naturally occurring vacancy, in my view, is harmful to the independence of the Article III branch.
You cannot keep a seat on the Supreme Court, which represents all of us. You cannot keep it vacant against the Constitution.
Do pretty much everything they can to avoid acknowledging the legitimacy of our democratically elected president.
The American people expect the president's nominee to be given a fair hearing and a timely vote in the Senate.
Every day that goes by without a ninth justice is another day the American people's business is not getting done.
I say to you, do your job. Vote for a Supreme Court nominee.
Instead of just saying the blanket rule is no matter who you are, no matter what your qualifications, because you are sent by this president, we will create a unique rule for you and refuse to entertain you.
One of the most important consequences of who is president of the United States is who sits on the United States Supreme Court.
If you want to stop extremism in your party, you can start by showing the American people that you respect the President of the United States and the Constitution.
The American people deserve a fully staffed court of 9.
So that was actually an ad run, and Ronna McDaniel, the chair, the head of the Republican National Party or convention, she's the one that actually tweeted that out, which is phenomenal. It is literally hysterical what they are doing. And yes, they might be mentally ill, which we're going to get to later, because we're going to go into mentally ill later and how it connects to what we talked about last night, which was the pineal gland and consciousness. So maybe they should watch the last part of the show tonight. Now, let's dive into what I think is going to happen before we get to the end of this. What I think is going to occur, and the reason this all happened was, let me give you an example, all right? When you put a group together, so like, for example, anarchists out there, I just want to give you like a basic 101 of groups in government, okay? Anarchists out there, they want just free will, no rules, basically no government, and that's it, right? And there's a lot of libertarians that actually fall into that world too, which has actually kind of distanced me from that world a little bit, because I'm just not into anarchy. And quite honestly, I want limited and small government, but I believe that we can have a government in place for the people that operates correctly. So we are tribal human nature, right? We form groups. Why do you think there's groups everywhere? Like your local groups, your community groups, your national groups, your international groups, everything, right? We like to be in groups. We like to be in our families as a group. We like to be in groups to start, humanitarian efforts, business efforts, whatever it may be, right? We like groups. So if you have a group of people that it's out in the middle of nowhere, right? Just an example. They're most likely going to come together and they're going to create maybe a village, okay? Just giving you really simple examples on this and how this pertains to the United States of America, which is right now. Now, you're going to form a group, whether it's a handful of people, 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people, it doesn't matter. You're going to form a group of some kind because you want to survive as one together going forward. You want to enjoy your life. You want to be happy. You want to take care of your family or those close to you, but you also want to go as a group together as one, right? Now, there's a few things that you have to do to make that happen, right? And this actually has to do with law as well. There's a thing called ethics, right? Now, ethics, as in law, ethics are not a collective. We'll get to that in a second. Ethics are your own personal ethics, meaning I don't do bad things. I do my best to do good things. And if you do a bad thing, you own up to it. You handle it either by yourself or you go to a family member or spouse, partner, whatever, and you fix, and then you move on. All right? That's an ethical code. It's ethics, right? That's why in law, if someone does something not so good, they get an ethical slap on the hand. You have to have personal ethics in a group, just like your community. Now, there's also a moral code. Okay, moral code. Moral code is for everybody, meaning there's laws, right? For example, as a people, we're not going to harm somebody, right? If you see someone else harming somebody, you're going to not do that, and we're going to take care of that and handle that, and you go into, timeout or a jail cell or whatever it may be, right? We have laws for the road, right? Certain speed limits, even though we may not love them all the time, they're put there for a particular purpose. A moral code. As a moral code, we have decided this is good, this is not good, and we're not going to do that, okay? Now, as you get this group of people together, let's go back to money. Now, I don't have my silver coin in front of me, but as a group, you're going to decide maybe that you want to exchange products and services. All right? So you do that. Well, we need a reason, or we need a means, I should say, of doing that. So, for example, we're going to say in our world that we're going to put some metal together, gold and silver, and we're going to make those money. And we're going to put it in legal documentation for the group to move forward on and live on, right? And now, okay, we don't have enough of that to really cover everybody, and there's a lot of products and services going back and forth. The barter thing isn't working as well because it doesn't really even out at the end of the day. So let's do this. Let's actually create a different kind of money, but back it by the gold and silver. Now, how are we doing all this? Oh, that's right. We need a treasury, right? We need a treasury, just like any group would have. If you go to your local community groups, whatever you're involved with, whether it's Scouts, whether it's a Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, some of the other things out there. Like I was in a BNI at one point. They had a treasurer. We were in Toastmasters at one point. They have a treasurer because that's what you do. The treasurer handles the internal money. Now, what happens, or how do we destroy that situation? Okay, what happens is some other strange third party, like a bank or a company, comes in and says, let's do this. You guys can't handle and don't have enough, so we're going to actually print it or make it for you. Now, what happens with this is then you possibly have greed and corruption pop in. And now the group tends to have problems going forward because there's greed and corruption. We had this nice group that had ethics, that had a moral code. They were keeping everybody involved in the community going forward, doing good things. They had some laws. They created order. Their families were growing well. Their children were growing well. But then we had this third party group come in and they created chaos. That's what America is going through right now. Now, in our world, we've built this up to judges that overlook and they can make decisions. Now, what do you do when you find out the problem of why your society is decaying? Because now your group went from good, ethical, and moral to it's decaying. Why do we have people doing bad things? Why are we teaching children not good things? Why is this pedophilia thing even involved? Because it's horrible, it's spiritually dark, it's not good, it harms us, etc., right? So, you actually have to have people at the top that the people believe in, because the people have elected a leader and leaders to then elect a group that stands at the top to handle possibly such situations. So the situation we're in right now is our group went south. Why? Because we allowed a third party company, the Federal Reserve, the bankers, the elite, the queens, the kings, etc. They infiltrated, right? And then on top of that, all of our leaders at the top became bought out. So no longer now does the group with ethics, morals, and a treasury run the show. It's been subverted. It's been taken out of the way. And now the top is actually oozing darkness, corruption, horrible ethics, zero moral code. And on top of that, they're making it go backwards. They're taking the children of this group, and instead of raising them up, they're actually teaching them things that they should not be taught so that they can, over time, destroy the entire group and control the entire countryside. Now, we might get this other person that's involved who wants to reverse this. A group that wants to reverse this. Now, where am I going with this? Over the next several days or weeks, you're going to have a Supreme Court justice, possible nominated, definitely nominated. I don't know if they'll vote on it before the election or not. That's going to go through Senate hearings. And then the President of the United States is going to win in probably a landslide. And then you're going to have chaos. As I said last night, earlier in the show, you're going to have forms of chaos. Meaning, they're going to literally burn cities. Just be ready for it. There's no way around this, okay? Well, what does the Supreme Court have to do with this? I'm going to tell you right now, after this election is over, it is going to be made public that Barack Obama was an illegal, ineligible president of the United States for 8 years. When that occurs, and the president calls him out for it, and Barr calls him out for it, all hell, and I mean all hell, because I'm telling you right now, if there is a thing as an antichrist, Obama and his group of minions are exactly that, and they may call upon holy hell to be risen from wherever it is. And if you read this damn book, right? If you read this book, it's underground. you are going to have insanity ensue America because Barack Obama is going to come to light. And I'm telling you right now, whatever spiritual darkness there is in this world, it is going to be conjured up. And I pray to God that the spiritual light is also coming. I think we're going into a spiritual battle unlike you've ever seen. The president is going to call the Insurrection Act. He is going to have military on the streets. This is what Q talked about in martial law on the streets of America. It's coming, folks. Not to put you in fear, not to scare you. Get ready for it. Show the book again. It's called The Biggest Secret. All right? Biggest Secret, David. Like my light is too bright tonight, so there you go. Sorry. This is not the only book that says it. I have read this over and over and over. I have books behind me on the shelf from many authors. Jim Marrs is one of the other great ones. They all talk about it. There is a class of hell, possibly beings, reptilians, or whatever the hell they are, that are underground, and they may very well summon all of this to the surface. I know some of you cannot handle that and don't want to handle that. Something is going down. The president will do whatever he has to try to stop this insanity, but Barack Obama was an illegal president, and 8 years is going to be wiped out, including, most likely, 3 Supreme Court justices. On top of that, again, not fear, preparation. If the Insurrection Act is brought in and the cabal is brought to exposure to light, you will over time have destruction of the Federal Reserve note, the dollar. It will go basically to zero. Now, I do not have information yet on how that's all going to work out. Please do not ask me what to do with your money. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you what to do with your money. I can only tell you what I do, which is gold and silver, money on the side if necessary, prep as much as you can, guns, food, equipment, survival gear, you name it. And then I speculate into the crypto world. So when there is a reset, which there will be some sort of reset, I don't know if it's Nasera, Jacera, I don't know. You're not going to go into a world of a utopia, but I'm telling you, there's going to be some sort of financial reset of some kind because the dollar is being yanked. I understand the gold and silver may be being brought in most likely. All right. But there is going to be a spiritual battle. Yes, you have the president and you have this election, but it's far more than that. And yes, I do believe we win in the end, but I'm just letting you know that's most likely what it looks like. Now I'm going to show you this video because this is very, very important, and many people probably have not seen this or don't recall it. This is when Mr. Kavanaugh was in his Supreme Court hearing. Listen very carefully to this video because this is very important with the next nominee.
Isn't there also a long settled law that it goes back to Eisentrager case? I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, Johnson versus Eisentrager.
Right. That American citizens who collaborate with the enemy have considered enemy combatants.
They can be. They can be. They're sometimes criminally prosecuted, sometimes treated in the military.
Well, let's talk about can be. I think
under Supreme Court precedent.
Right. There's a Supreme Court decision that said that American citizens who collaborated with Nazi saboteurs were tried by the military. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I think a couple of them were executed.
Yeah.
So if anybody doubts, there's a long-standing history in this country that your constitutional rights follow you wherever you go, but you don't have a constitutional right to turn on your own government, collaborate with the enemy of the nation. You'll be treated differently. What's the name of the case, if you can recall, that reaffirmed the concept that you could hold one of our own as an enemy combatant if they were engaged in terrorist activities in Afghanistan. Are you familiar with that case?
Yeah, Hamdi.
Okay. So the bottom line is, I want every American citizen to know you have constitutional rights, but you do not have a constitutional right to collaborate with the enemy. There's a body of law well developed long before 9/11 that understood the difference between basic criminal law and the law of armed conflict.
So what that means is, first of all, Kavanaugh was put through it because they were setting Kavanaugh up in a way to show that basically if you are an enemy but you are still an American, and if you, whether you stay here or you try to depart the country, guess where you can go? You can go to military tribunals. You can go to Gitmo and you can be held responsible for being a traitor and treasonous to the United States of America. That's what they are essentially setting up in that question. Now, they are scared to death because RBG is out, meaning they are most likely going to put in, obviously with President Trump, they are nominating another hardcore conservative that is against, quote unquote, the deep state. You now have a majority, like large majority, in the Supreme Court that when this is potentially brought up that Barack Obama was ineligible to be the president and is a basically not only treasonous because he shouldn't have been here to begin with, right? But not only that, but even the people around him were, in effect, supporting this act, including the Hillary Clintons of the world. Guess what happens? That's right. Death penalty, hanging, lethal injection. These people most likely, through the Supreme Court, go on to military tribunals and there will be executions. I'm not saying this lightly. I'm not threatening. I am not inciting anything. I'm letting you, I'm just telling you. This has happened in history before. They had tribunals, the Nuremberg trials for World War II. Now, they were let off in those trials. That's the problem. They came over here. I'm just letting you know it's happened. It will happen again. Now, whether they're having the tribunals right now or they're going to have them post, I do not fully know. I could speculate both ways. I'm just letting you know they are staging this for tribunals. Gitmo has been worked on, built, renovated. It has the room for a lot of people. You know what I did today? I actually went and read again Martin Geddes' blogs regarding the storm, where we will go one, we go all, and the queue. And it's so well written. And it really kind of even almost recentered me going, okay, stay on focus. There's a lot of conspiracies out there. I enjoy them too, and I think there's a lot to them. But when you come back into center, there is legitimate reasons and evidence. And for all those people out there that there's nothing happening, everything Q says isn't going on, that is not true at all. You're not looking, you're not reading, you're not researching. There is stuff going on every single day, and it's going down. There will be some result of this that you will see, and a lot of people are saying that they're having, let's see, basically people behind the scenes, maybe the Hankses of the world, the Obamas of the world, the Clintons of the world, confessing on camera, being recorded, that will then maybe be shown on TV or emergency broadcast system. I don't know that for sure, but I've been reading it a lot, over and over, from many different sources, okay? I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if JFK Jr. is true. I'm just saying, if you look at the actual facts of what are happening right in front of you, the fact that they ask Brett Kavanaugh that question isn't for nothing. That's a very random question. And now you have set up where RBG dies, quote unquote, dies a month before the election, essentially. And then the president gets the next nomination and could throw a vote in before, but they'll probably vote after the election. All hell is going to break loose. And I truly believe, if you go back and look at the president's tweets before he was president, he was the first truther on Obama. He was the one that made it public. Donald J. Trump, before he was president, back in whether it was 2012 or whatever it was, he was the first, one of the first at least, truthers of the birth certificate. Him and Sheriff Joe Arpaio of Arizona. I mean, they called it out a long time ago. So, just be ready. We're going to amp up for this. I will probably be live streaming even more as we get closer to this. And yes, I am thinking about live streaming most of the election. We'll see. I got to figure out how it'll play out because I don't want to just have a lot of dead air. And that's a lot of preparation. But I will definitely be on at least for longer than an hour on election night. So we'll see. Now, as we conclude tonight, we're not done. All right. I want to go in deeper and deeper and deeper to our connection, my connection, your connection. We were created in the image of God. Whether you want to call that a person, sun, energy, that's your call. All right. We were created in the image of God, of source, of creator, right? We also have consciousness. We also have spirituality. Okay. Now, I was teaching you last night the actual mechanics or anatomy of how they altered that. I'm going to take you into deeper pieces of that tonight because I need you to understand and know what we're actually capable of tonight. So, there's a couple things I have here. All right. There's two videos. The first one I'm going to play, some of you will understand, some of you will not understand. It's okay. I just want you to listen to the overall vibe of it, okay? And then the one after that, I'm going to dive into right after. And that one is a little different, okay? I want you to focus on these because then I'm going to tell you from a physiological standpoint what they have done to destroy our connection not only to each other, but to creator, to source. So let me show you the first one. This is from this is actually from a gentleman that inspired my wife to go to chiropractic school. This gentleman right here. Now, he's a little older here and his voice is a little different. But just listen to him. Just listen to the words. He's talking about chiropractic. And let me make sure you have a word that you understand. So he's going to use a word called, or words that are called vertebral subluxation. Those are chiropractic terms. Vertebral, obviously the vertebrae of the spine, right? And then subluxation. Now, you've heard of dislocation. Dislocation is like your shoulder coming out of socket. That is a dislocation. A subluxation is not quite a dislocation, but it's slightly out of alignment. So if you have two vertebrae on top of each other with a disc in the middle, right, and one moves out of alignment, what actually happens is it pinches on the nerve coming out between the two. That is called a vertebral subluxation. As chiropractors, that's what we work on to fix on a daily basis. So I just want to let you know that before you go into this video, because if you don't understand it, it won't make sense. The vertebral subluxation is what chiropractors fix when they adjust you. They take pressure off the nerve in the spine, okay? Here's the first video.
Reinvent it for its real purpose, which is not the treatment of disease, not getting sick people well. The purpose of chiropractic is the correction of vertebral subluxation. What you do is analyze the spine, looking for vertebral subluxation, and when you find one, you apply those techniques that bring about the correction of subluxation. That's chiropractic. If you're not doing that, you're not practicing chiropractic. What are you practicing? The treatment of disease. Or you're practicing medicine. That's where chiropractic went wrong. Some chiropractors found that by applying chiropractic, sick people didn't get well. There are some sick people who don't get well by the application of chiropractic. Stop saying that we get sick people well. The power that made the body heal the body. Nonsense. The power that made the body can heal the body sometimes, but sometimes it fails. If your mission is to get sick people well, you're going to fail a lot of the time. If your mission is to locate and correct vertebral subluxation, you'll be successful all the time. That's all you do. For God's sake, be an expert at what you do.
So you got a little taste of Reggie Gold, which he is like way up here in the world of chiropractic. But he also said something so important: be an expert at what you do. Be the best at what you do. If you're watching this, no matter what world you're in, I don't care if it's chiropractic or you're in a different administrative job, be the best at what you do. And what he is saying is, if you help fix that spine, and I will add in, if you put the right things into the body nutritionally wise, and then you handle the spiritual side of it, guess what? That body will heal itself. I don't heal it. Others don't heal it. Your body's God-given abilities will heal it with the flow that goes through it. The correct building blocks going in, the correct spinal alignment, the handle of a subluxation, as he said, and this body works. And not only that, you tap in here to up there. You tap in to source. You tap in to God. That is your job. And then you get these beautiful, wonderful, all these thoughts, all these ideas, all these creative things that pop into your head. And then you take your hands, you take your body, and you physically create things in this physical world. You have been given that ability to do. If you're not doing it, you got to get this fixed and you got to get this fixed. Now, let me take you a step further and go into something that is very, very close to my heart and is going to take me a few minutes to discuss. So hang on. We got a little farther to go. I am going to show you a video here that, let me just say, I'm showing you this because this impacted my life, and this is impacting your life, and this is impacting your children's life, your grandchildren's life. This is something we must stop immediately. This alone will destroy our civilization, and this must end. Let me take you into this 2-minute video. So I wanted to show you that because I was personally affected by two medications there, Adderall and Zoloft. This is the problem. You're born. You're supposed to be born as this perfect little creation, ready to go into the world and do what you're supposed to do. And by the way, you are designed to find your gift, to find your purpose, to connect to source, and go and create your world and your family and your groups and your nations and your planet. That's what you're supposed to do. However, as I showed you last night, they have disconnected you from source from the very beginning. From birth, you have things injected into you, rubbed into the eyes, you name it. And then you're told as you grow up what you can't do. Children are not supposed to be heard, they're supposed to be seen. You're supposed to hear all of this garbage programming. Children are closest to God. Have you ever noticed children are just mostly happy? Well, they used to be until we drugged the hell out of them, as you just saw. Now, that was from 2009. That was over 10 years ago. It's well over 100 million people now. You have millions and millions of children drugged every single day. Now, what's happening is they're being polluted because we know that neurotransmitters start in the gut. The gut connects to the brain, connects to your pineal gland, connects to your colostrum, connects to your thalamus, your hypothalamus, your pituitary, then your thyroid, then your adrenals, then your ovaries or testes, the entire endocrine system. You're drugged from the very beginning. Your children are being drugged from the very beginning. You're eating food that is covered in glyphosate. You're being covered in heavy metals, chemicals. It's everywhere. It is destroying your gut. What happens then is your gut makes your brain misfire. So instead of you being supposed to find your gift and your purpose in life and doing it, instead your gut has been destroyed, so your brain acts confused, and all of a sudden now you're getting confusion, you don't know who you are, you're having breakdowns, you're having anxiety attacks, panic attacks, you want to be yourself, you think this way, you're the black sheep, you want to do what you do, but then everyone else looks at you and calls you crazy. Trust me, I've been there, I live it, and I don't give a shit anymore, and neither should you. Your kids shouldn't give a shit. They should be themselves. They should be the creative geniuses they were intended to be. But our society and these corporations and these elite cabal, whatever they are, have destroyed the gut. They have destroyed the brain. And all of us, instead of questioning the system, we're told by the medical system to drug it. Drug it. Put a medication in. Except as you see, the side effects are worse than the medication because ultimately they only want you on the medication not to fix the problem, but to control you. Welcome to the Matrix. We must detox the system as fast as humanly possible because this is how they're disconnecting you from God and from source. You don't know how many people on a weekly basis that I talk to who come in who are having panic attacks, anxiety, depression, going to psych hospitals, being put on medications, all because they're in confusion. Because most of them know that they're supposed to be looking for their purpose, for their gift in life, and instead they're short-circuiting. They're short-circuiting, and instead of realizing who they actually are, you know what they're doing? They're taking everybody else's opinion out there and they're accepting it as their own opinion of themselves. One of the biggest things you can do every single day, you out there, is when you come in contact with a person on a daily basis that is having a problem, do not judge. Help them. Show them, tell them that they're worth something. They're actually worth infinite value. Teach them that what they're saying is not who they are. That's what society labeled them with. And then society said, you're probably crazy, so you should probably get medicated. And then the ridiculously insane psychiatrists who shouldn't even be in this world are popping pills left and right, handing it out like candy. Trust me, I've had my time on Zoloft and Adderall. It doesn't work. What actually happened was I didn't want to connect to who I was because I didn't think there was value there. This is a long time ago. Trust me, now I don't give a shit. Here we come. We're coming at you with everything. Guns blazing. Because I deal with this every day now, and I deal with this with kids. A lot of kids. Adults, a lot of adults too, but kids scares me. Because we're destroying between vaccines and psychiatric drugs, your freaking kids are being destroyed in front of your very eyes. There is not a child who should be on, and I'm going to say this again, there is not a child that should be on a psychiatric medication, because guess what? They're not destroyed. Their brain works. Their spirit works. Society is screwed up. Society is pushing them down. As a parent, as a grandparent, it is your job. It is your job to lift these children up and show them what they're worth and then help them find their gift and purpose. But going to that medication, that video of medication, that is the easy way to make it all go away. And guess what? It doesn't make it all go away. It actually makes it 1 billion times worse. And they are ultimately disconnecting not only you, parents and grandparents, and uncles and aunts, and everything else. They disconnected you a long time ago, but then they found out, you know what? Not only can they make a crap load of money, these damn kids, this is what they said to themselves. These damn kids are so happy. These kids come out and they just want to have fun and they want to play all day. They don't think about money. They don't think about worries. They don't think about bills. They don't think about governments. They don't think about any of this stuff. You know what? That's a problem because they're free. They're sovereign little beings running around all over the place, enjoying their day with not a care in the world. They're God's children, right? And so what happened? They found a way to market directly to them and say, oh, well, wait a second. They were sitting in school and they didn't want to sit there because they were bored. And so let's make boredom be called ADD. Oh, wait, they're sitting there taking a test that is ridiculously joke. And they'd rather be outside. So let's call that ADHD. Let's call that, let's see. There's so many labels. Distracted. Hyperactive. Let's see. Let me tell you. If you make me sit in the classroom for 6 to 8 hours a day, I can't handle that. I can't stand. I'm not sitting here. I'm standing. I need to be going. These children were connected to God, connected to Source. They couldn't have that. So how do you disconnect them? Destroy the gut, destroy the brain, and then hook them on the medications, hook them on the television program, hook them on the video games. Now you got them. Now they lost their connection to God, to Source. What really needs to happen is you need to adjust their spine. You need to give them quality food. You need to give them nutrition, supplementation. You need to detox these little bodies of heavy metals and chemicals and parasites and you name it. If you want help, I'm happy to put it up. I will help you as best I can. There are kids products out there that I'll help you with. I will work with you directly. I have not a problem with that. The parasite protocols are like a day or two away from being out most likely. It is my purpose to serve and help you in any way possible, whether it's food related, whether it's health related. If you have an ADD, ADHD kid, which is a false diagnosis, they're all made up, trust me. They're all garbage pail diagnoses to try to label you and your children with something you don't actually have. If you need the ways to handle that, let me know. I have like a 38-page PDF out there of how to help handle it from a, not even a nutrition standpoint, just a logic standpoint. These children are brilliant. We must tap into their brilliance and let them create our next world, our next civilization. I am tired of watching children be destroyed. And then this whole thing of, oh wait, the parents are overwhelmed. The parents are tired. They're exhausted. Welcome to being a parent. Do you think I don't get exhausted sometimes? I have a little girl that does not love to go to bed. Not because she's eating crappy food and she's wired, because she likes to learn. She likes to do things. She likes to be creative. She's a freaking Energizer bunny. Right? So if I let my daughter go, she would fall asleep on the couch at midnight from doing something productive, watching a craft show, whatever it may be, playing with her little dolls and her little, her dresses and everything else, right? And then no matter if she goes to bed at 8 o'clock at night or midnight, at 7 a.m. pretty much every morning, her internal alarm clock goes off and she's ready to go. So parents, guess what? You might be a little tired from time to time. Welcome to parenting. Right? If you can't stand or tolerate your kids bouncing off walls, good. Guess what? Stop feeding them absolute trash. Stop filling them with sugar every day. Go and plan for meals. Stop taking them in the fast food. Chick-fil-A is garbage. McDonald's is garbage. Wendy's is garbage. Stop putting trash in. If you put trash in, you'll get trash and exhaust out. That's what happens. They don't need to be medicated because they're bouncing off walls. You need to stop putting the damn drugs in them. If you wonder why they have allergies all over the place and their body's falling apart, stop injecting crap into them. Stop loading them up with medication. Stop all the insanity. What's happened is the parents have been pushed into a stress pool of chaos because, yeah, the globalists, the elite, came after all of us too. And so video games are easier, iPads are easier, cell phones are easier. It's all easier than having to be directly in present time with our children sometimes. So instead of not being able to handle it, guess what? Put your phone down, put your iPad down, put your laptop down, get on the floor and actually engage. If you engage like 15 minutes a day of actual with your children, guess what will happen? That 15 minutes turns into then 30 minutes, turns into 45 minutes, turns into an hour, then 2 hours, 3 hours. Next thing you know, you've spent like 3 hours in that entire week, one-on-one, present time with your children. And guess what? Just that alone, I bet you in 2 weeks to a month, your children will revolutionarily change in front of your eyes to probably some of the calmest kids in the world. You take out the sugar, game over. You will get your kids back. You put nutrition in, you have rock stars now. Kids are geniuses, but you have to allow them to be. And parents, put down the babysitter iPhone. And trust me, I'm not saying, well, I'm perfect, right? I'm sure I miss time here and there as well. I'm not saying anybody's perfect. I'm saying is, if you want to gain America back, if you want to gain this world back, we have to gain back our nuclear family. We have to gain back our children. We have to all connect back to source, back to God. That is the most important thing we could ever do. It does not matter if there's a storm coming. It does not matter if the Supreme Court, whatever gets filled. It does not matter if the president's elected. It does not matter anything in the next 2 months. If we do not connect back to our children, if we do not get them drug free, if we do not take care of them, it doesn't freaking matter who the president of the United States is. It doesn't matter if there's a spiritual battle or not. If you do not connect back and bring these children back into the light, none of it matters. Because going forward, they are our next civilization. This is not about how to detox. This is not how to not vaccinate. This is literally you and I are building and creating the next civilization. Right now, 1 in 36 children are autistic. They are being destroyed, and we are expecting to have a civilization going forward. Not unless you and I get off our asses and take back over. That's all I got for you. It's late. I'll do a Noble Patriot After Dark this week. I'll take questions. If you need help, you know where to go. We will handle it all. I will look through these questions. We will do everything we have to do to save this country, your countries, this planet, and we will move forward. I'm Dr. Jason Dean. This is the Revolution Network. Please go serve and help someone tomorrow, and let's save our children. Have a great night.